Good evening, everyone. It is 6:00 p.m. So we will open our public comment session for April 5th, 2022. Up first, we have Mr. Ryan Supler.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Supler. Wanted to share a few announcements with everyone. For the Alliance of Neighborhood Associations, we're going to have another monthly meeting April 18th, Monday at 5:30 p.m. This will be a focus on strategic planning and nominating new officers. For more information, please check out anayork.webs.com. And I also wanted to share some information about the Code Blue Emergency Overflow Shelter Program. As you know, I was a overnight services coordinator for that. The program is sadly now over, but I did want to share that we were able to get through two major challenges, which were the staff shortages and the volunteer shortages, and handling the significant increase in people seeking services, our guests. The experts said that we were going to have about a 40% increase, and we had about a 35% increase. So I wanted to just give a shout out for everyone who helped out with that and volunteered and worked through that. Thank you. And then I'm also part of the election staff with the county, not like the major role, just a little tiny role at the precinct level. And I'm a judge with the, 12-1, so over in Ward 12. And I'm looking for staff to help out on election day, and definitely the county's looking for people. It's about $75, half day, and then I think for the full day, maybe it depends on the job. It could be about $100, $300. Definitely give the county a call at 717-771-9604. They're probably going to try and put you in your particular ward. So if you live in like Ward 5, they're going to probably start you in Ward 5 if there's any empty spots, and then try and maybe find another spot maybe next door if there's an empty spot. And also wanted to make sure people were aware that there are a couple changes so if you were voting at United Way, please check your polling station, as well as if you voted at a good school and the YMCA. There's been a couple changes, and I just want people to check that, because I don't think there was like a postcard notification that went out or a phone call. So definitely check that out. That's all I got, and thank you.
At the YMCA?
I'm pretty sure, so I think that's Ward 5, and I think that'll be at the Appel Center. And I'm pretty sure that Ward 7 was at Good School, but then they changed it to the stadium, and I think the stadium then changed it to the Appel Center, so it'll be two precincts there. But I would definitely recommend people check their polling locations, check with the county, and the website for that I think is votespa.com. Just make sure that everything's legit, because it does seem like there's a habit of that for the city, that things are constantly changing kind of last minute. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Charlene Belcher.
Hello, Council. I apologize in advance. I don't talk loud, and the mask might make it even more difficult. But I was here last month when you guys were going over some ARPA budgeting with the police commissioner. And one of the things that came up was the Shot Spotter program. And there seemed to be a lot of questions and a lot of concerns circling about that program, specifically around whether or not it was a good choice for the city, because there was a lot of negative results when you search through Google. I live in Dover, but I do come into the city a lot. My mom lives in the city. My husband, my daughter, and I frequent the city a lot. My husband's retired state police. I myself have an IT background, so when this comment came up, it actually took me to heart, because I could understand where everybody's coming from. I grew up in the suburbs of Los Angeles, and I am a Latin American, Latinx. May not look like it all the time, but my last name is Zepeda, and I always get that look when I say that. But I understood the concerns that Emmanuel brought up. When you Google ShotSpotter, a lot of negative information comes up specifically around the Chicago implementation, and that caught my attention. So I did pull up the Chicago Oig report, and I was trying to figure out, what was so negative about this program and why are they pulling back? And Chicago is a large metropolitan city that has problems similar to ours, but not necessarily the same. And the majority of the problems that are surrounding Chicago have to do with the style of implementation that they've done. And what they've done is they've implemented ShotSpotter to kind of take the place of police work, trying to take the place of detectives, and they're spread so thin. And what I found interesting was what the commissioner wanted to do with the software was he wanted to use it as outreach. He wanted to use it to put services in place for the children and families that were traumatized by shots that are fired in the community. So then with that, I did go and Google some additional information. And what I did find was there is an independent report out there, which was one of the things that Emmanuel had asked for. And it's actually called the Edgewater Analytics Report, and it's available. I can send it to anybody who wants a copy of it. But it does give you some very good information as far as how accurate ShotSpotter is, not just in the setting of Chicago, which has its own challenges with wind tunnels, the buildings, the number of people. You have to take all of those things into consideration. So you have the Edgewater report, which is really good for independent feedback. But then I started looking if the commissioner wants to implement this in a way that is more proactive instead of reactive, there was a good article out there that was actually a YouTube video initially, and it was Cooper Hospital that's in Camden, New Jersey, which is not too far from here. And one of the amazing things that they've done there is instead of using ShotSpotter to align just with the police department, they've aligned it with their hospital center. So Cooper Hospital happens to be a level 1 trauma center, which is very similar to what we have here at York Hospital. And what they were able to do is over the course of a year, actually track the traumas and the shots that were fired. And they were able to actually document that they shaved 4 minutes off of trauma responses. Now, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the golden hour when it comes to trauma patients, but an hour is the difference between life and death for a patient that has a traumatic injury. So if you can take 4 minutes off by the use of technology, you're going to talk about saving people's lives, moms and dads, kids. And from that perspective, I would just like the council to consider, ShotSpotter as not necessarily a policing utility, but as a community utility. Leverage it not just for, the outreach for the mental health, but also use it as outreach. Align yourself with WellSpan Hospital. I'm sure you guys all know Hal Baker and Dr. Rob Lackey. They're CTOs, CFOs. They're all really great, intelligent people who are very proactive when it comes to utilizing technology. And I just think it's something that the city should consider. So again, I'm more than happy to share that information. There's also really great information out there. The city of Oakland in California has really great policies and procedures around not only how they use ShotSpotter, but how they use drones in their community. So it's not something that's just managed by the police department. They actually use the community to make sure that, there's a balance of power. So, the police department is required to turn in an annual report of how this technology is used and how they've benefited from it so they can continue their funding. But it's also published to the community so they know, it's not like, I hate to say it, the movie Public Enemy or Enemy of the State. We all remember the Will Smith movie where he's running through Georgetown and there are just cameras taking pictures. That I think that's a fear that everybody has. But I think if we really take a proactive approach of looking at it from a more of a community-centric implementation than a police implementation, that you guys will see much more improvement within the community. So that's all I really wanted to say, and thank you for your time, and thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Belcher, can you put your email on this public comment
Sure.
form first, please? Thank you. Ms. Shriver, we do have your public comment form, but your item for discussion is on our legislative agenda, so we'll ask you to come up during the legislative agenda. Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment in the audience?
I've never done this before. I don't know if I can without filling out the form.
Yep.
Just give us your name.
Hi, my name is Sasha Caulfield. I'm
Last name again, Sasha.
Caulfield. Do you want me to spell it? K-A-U, F as in Frank, H-O-L-D as in dog.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me here. I recently was picking up my daughter Eva, who is 8, from Holy Trinity on the day that the young boy was shot at Penn Park. I was picking her up for a dentist appointment, and it's a random time. I'm never at school, and her Holy Trinity school was on lockdown. Couldn't get her. I had waited 3 months for that appointment. Whatever, I can make another appointment. But they were like, oh, there's police activity. They've been on lockdown before because of William Penn activity and all that. It comes with the territory. I get it. We moved here also from the Bay Area, California, 18 years. Well, they weren't they spent like 3 years there. So I am familiar with what the first woman said about Oakland. And it's very progressive. And I realize this is a different culture here. So anyway, I went to pick her up. Police activity, I look over my shoulder. I see the teenagers on the grass crying. I see the cops. I see a body. I'm like, okay, this is getting way too real, way too fast. Their playground, or like where they have recesses, right by Penn Park. I don't need to go to work thinking my kid's going to catch a bullet during recess. And it's just like what the woman said before. You can utilize that technology however you want. I am all for being proactive and doing something about this very violent culture that is America. But we also have a duty to make our own sphere of influence the best and healthiest it can be. As you can see, I'm a nurse. So, I teach people about the physical health, right? But there's also mental and emotional health. And the emotional toll of me, I can't unsee that dead body, and I can't stop thinking about, okay, I don't want to be in New York after dark. I don't want to drive down certain streets. I don't want to, and I'm in my 40s. In my 20s, I would have done stuff like that, but I'm slowing down. But I, would love to buy a home here. We moved here after the wildfires. I have family here. But I thought twice after seeing that. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to put some roots down here, because if my kids are going to catch a bullet during recess, I can take my skill set. I can go anywhere. I can put my roots down anywhere. I don't have to be here. I want to be here because I really like the diversity of the city. I like that it's kind of like the underdog. I like the history. I love the architecture. But I want to protect my children. I want my bloodline and my legacy to grow up without having to think they're going to get shot at school. So I definitely would encourage you to think about your vision for this city in 2 years. You are in a unique position to make power moves that can affect how this city, the quality of life the city has in several years. And what do you envision that? If you could wave a magic wand, what would be different about the city? What would be better? What would look different? And what actions, what small steps can we take now to create that vision? There's no perfect anything. There's no perfect technology. There's no perfect husband. There's no perfect anything. But you have to start somewhere. You can't just talk. We're way beyond the time for talk. It's time for action to do something. I made policies at Stanford Hospital. We would tweak stuff all the time. You pilot something. Did it work? Oh, well, this part worked. This part didn't. Let's tweak that. Let's pilot it again. You have to start somewhere. So I would just encourage you to keep an open mind, creative problem solving, keep what works, tweak what doesn't, but you've got to start somewhere, and that's all. And I thank you for your time, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, we will adjourn our public comment session and call to order our legislative meeting for April 5th, 2022. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Here.
Buckingham.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Washington.
Here.
Walker.
Here. And if you are able to, please stand for a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Now we will take action on previous meeting minutes from March 15th, 2022. Council, are there any changes or additions that need to be made to those minutes?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those meeting minutes are approved. There are no proclamations, awards, or announcements. Our next legislative meeting for council will be held on Tuesday, April the 19th, 2022 at 6:00 p.m. in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on April 13th. Our next committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 27th, 2022 at 6:00 p.m. in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on April 20th. No prior committee referrals, so we will move on to our legislative agenda. Final passage of bills and resolutions. Up first, we have final passage of bill number 18.
That was Bill number 18, which was introduced by Lou Rivera at the March 15th meeting, an ordinance approving the 2021 ordinances as part of the codified ordinances.
Is there a second?
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of bill number 19.
So introduce.
Bill number 19, which was introduced by Felicia Dennis at the March 15th meeting of council, an ordinance amending the transfer of funds for the environmental services and recreation and parks, making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the amount of $885.19 to fund the remaining laundry cleaning services for 2021.
Motion to approve.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of bill number 20.
Move to approve.
And that's Bill number 20, which was introduced by Queen of Washington at the March 15th meeting of council. An ordinance amending the 2021 budget for the fire department by appropriating revenue and expenditures for architect, engineer, consultant services for the Rexlower Fire Station renovation in the amount of $35,251.92.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
None.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera. Yes. Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of bill number 21.
That was a bill that was introduced by Betsy Buckingham at the March 15th meeting of council, making appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the amount of $5,500 for office equipment, furniture, and capital data processing software for the treasurer's office.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes. And that is so ordered. Even after all this time.
I know, after all these years.
Moving on to final passage of Bill number 22.
Move to approve.
And that was Bill number 22, introduced by Queen of Washington at the March 15th meeting of council. An ordinance making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the amount of $43,528.41 to fund the vehicle and vehicle lease purchase expense for the fire department.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
None.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, and that is so ordered. Moving on to introductions of bills, just a reminder that these will sit until our next legislative meeting. Up first, we have an introduction of a bill amending the financial year 2022 city budget.
So introduced.
And that is Bill number 23, introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill amending the 2022 budget for the Bureau of Health by appropriating revenue and expenditures for the child-led poisoning prevention program in the amount of $35,245.
Moving on, we have another introduction for a bill amending the 2022 city budget.
So introduced.
Bill number 24, introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill amending the 2022 budget for the Bureau of Health by appropriating revenue and expenditures for Fund 26 special projects for environmental lead investigations in the amount of $1,620.
Moving on to an introduction of our bill making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated.
So introduced.
That's Bill number 25, introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the 2022 budget in the amount of $77,000 in ARPA funding for demolition of the property located at 38 East South Street by A Plus Inc.
Moving on to introduction of bill number 26.
So introduced.
Bill number 26, introduced by Betsy Buckingham, amending the fiscal year 2022 budget for business administration to fund other professional services for the White Rose Community Television and ARPA funding in an amount of $53,000. Information technology to update the audiovisual equipment in council chambers and ARPA funding is $20,000. Human Resources to fund an interface between Kronos Staff Scheduling Program and a Kronos Workforce Central in the amount of $35,000 in ARPA funding, and an Economic and Community Development for several programs, including Business Startup Subsidy Grant Programs in the amount of $220,000.
Moving on to introduction of bill number 27, deleting references to the City of York General Authority.
So introduced.
Okay, and that's introduction of bill number 27, introduced by Lou Rivera, an ordinance deleting reference to the City of York General Authority, Article 123 Mayor, and in Article 509 parking meters, as well as Article 517 parking lots.
Now moving on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to consider a consent agenda from council?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Please review these items for resolutions 11 to 17. If there are any items that you would like to pull, please share them with us. I'm requesting to pull item number 12 and item number 17. Are there any items from council that you would like to pull? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve items 11, 13 through 16?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? You're not yet. You're 17. I got you.
Okay.
All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. Those items are approved. They are so ordered. And now we will move on to our resolution declaring April 2022 as Fair Housing Month in the city of York.
You skipped you wanted number 11, right?
12.
Oh, okay, 12.
I meant 12. I'm
Oh,
sorry if I said,
you said 12 through, what numbers were the consent agenda?
it's item 11 for the consent agenda,
Okay.
13 through
Through
16.
Okay, I'm sorry, all right, I follow you now, okay. Did you introduce that yet?
So introduced.
Oh, who's that? I think that's Councilwoman, I'm
Dennis.
sorry, I'm off.
Dennis. It's
I'm
Dennis.
off. Is there a motion to introduce by short title?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Resolution 43, introduced by Felicia Dennis, a resolution promoting and supporting the goals and ideals of the Fair Housing Act and recognizing April 22, 2022 as Fair Housing Month in the city of York, Pennsylvania, which includes bringing attention to the discrimination faced by individuals in the city of York in housing and housing-related transactions on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, ancestry, familial status, disability, age, and religion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? The reason why I pulled it is I do see representatives here from the HRC. So did you want to say anything in regards to this resolution? Come on up, Ms. Seaton.
Thank you, Council, Madam President, council members. I do want to just ask those who came to come with me. We have representatives from our housing community here, as well as one of my fellow commissioners, Mina Edmondson, who's our nominations and leadership chair. So I know we have Ms. Joy Santiago from Affordable Housing Advocates, Mr. Jose Santiago from the YMCA, as well as the York Habitat, and Habitats. Just come on up. And I asked them to stand with me because this isn't a work that we do alone. But we have partners in the community who care about fair housing for the residents in the city of York. So thank you for reading that resolution in the short title, because it is quite a long, extensive resolution, but it is very important. I just would like to say we're at April the 5th, 2022, but 54 years ago, on this date, riots were breaking out all across this country because Martin Luther King Jr. had just been assassinated. And as a result of that, the Fair Housing Act was signed 7 days later. So we're in that in-between stage, and I would say that we're in that in-between stage now. They may not be burning down housing and rioting and looting across our country at this exact moment, but housing is at a critical stage. With the evictions that have happened as a result of the pandemic and skyrocketing rental rates, affordable housing is very important at this time. And here in our community, the Human Relations Commission stands ready to address housing discrimination. We're getting a lot of calls ourselves regarding landlord-tenant issues, evictions, denial of rental properties. So we are seeing it here. And so I just want to thank council members for your support. I want to thank the administration for your support as we address this. And I also want to thank my fellow commissioners and all of those in the community who address the housing needs of our residents and help to provide fair and affordable housing. And I just want to say publicly, if you know anyone who is experiencing discrimination in housing, give us a call. If you're not sure what the issue is, give us a call, because we're going to try to help you. If we can't, we're going to make sure you get directed to someone who can. And our number is 717-846-2926, and we're located here on the second floor of York City Hall at 101 South George Street. Thank you for your time. I'm not sure if, I don't know how much time you have, but I did ask them to join me here tonight because I think it's important work that they do. So I don't know if anyone wants to say something publicly, but with council's permission, I would invite you to do so.
Absolutely. It would be great just for anyone who may be watching, if they don't know what you do and what you represent, you can give us a short description of what you do and how you can help our community.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Joyce Santiago. I'm the Executive Director of Affordable Housing Advocates. We have been here for 51 years as a result of those riots that were happening, and the sole purpose was to ensure equitable housing. So I appreciate you recognizing Fair Housing Month. It's so important, and we all need to get behind it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jose Santiago, and I am the Director of Community Development for the YMCA of the Roses here in York. We do affordable housing, have been doing affordable housing since the early 90s, and community redevelopment neighborhoods and street lighting and streetscaping and things like that. So this is very important to us because housing is critical in this moment. So any support we can get as affordable housing providers, that's what we need to do. We need to work together to try to correct the wrongs that have happened in housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Terry Aberzies. I am with York Habitat for Humanity. We've been here in York for since 1985, building safe, affordable, modest housing. We currently are redeveloping or revitalizing the 700 block of Chestnut Street. And we have found that our families who are afforded safe, affordable housing do much better in their family life and hopefully break the cycle of poverty. So this declaration of Housing Month, Affordable Housing Month, is really important. A lot of people are living in their cars, and it's really bad with all of the rental costs, the housing costs. People just can't afford it. So I appreciate your listening. Thank you.
Terry, what was your last name?
I'll spell it: A as in apple, B as in boy, R-U-Z-Z-E, S as in Sam, E.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Natasha Cocorlo. I also work with York Habitat for Humanity, and I just wanted to add on to what Terry said about the Chestnut Street Revitalization Project. We are still accepting homeowner applications for those properties. So if you know of anybody who is paying too much in rent or is looking for a permanent habitat home to call their own, please send them our way to our office on 33 South Seward Street. We will go over the application process with them.
Thank you. A quick question. What are the actual requirements for Habitat?
They need to be between 30 and 80% of the average median income of York County. They can, their debt can't be more than 40% of their income. They can't be in bankruptcy or currently own a home. And then they also are required to do sweat equity, 225 hours per applicant, maximum of 450 hours total. They can have friends and family help them with that sweat equity, but they do the majority of it. And they have to put a $500 deposit down as their down money. They do apply for a city grant to help with closing costs and a part of the down payment. And then their payments are no more than 30% of their income at the time that we requalify them once they get close to the home being finished and moving in. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Natasha, what was your last name?
I know, we have the hard last names. Cocorlo, K-U-K-O-R-L-O.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Mina Edmondson. I am a commissioner on the City of York Human Relations Commission. I am inviting everyone to a fair housing clinic being held on Monday, April 25th, here in the Chamber Council. It will be from 10 till 6. We are inviting agencies and individuals from across the city and county as well to speak to our residents. We're inviting our residents to come and to learn more about fair housing, what their rights are, what they can do, the opportunities available for them, such as Habitat. There will be tables here so you can get information, but we will have speakers here all day, and we do want to invite every member of the City Council to attend on that day as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council, and thank you to the administration.
Thank you
Thank you to
all.
all of these housing advocates. Thank you.
Thank you all for what you do. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Let's see here. Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, that is so ordered. Moving on to the resolution authorizing an agreement with A Plus Inc.
So introduced.
Is that number 15? Is that for 435 West Philadelphia? Oh, 38, number 17, okay. Oh, I got you here, okay. You already introduced that, Vice President? Okay. Give me just 1 second here, folks, just to catch up real quick. All right, and that's resolution number 48, introduced by Queen of Washington, whereas on March 21st, the building code official and the city engineer determined that the structure located at 38 East South Street is in active state of collapse, and the city engineer has determined that the structure located at 38 South Street poses an imminent danger to the adjacent structure located at 42 East South Street, and whereas the family of four residing at 42 East South Street has been ordered to vacate their home and have no alternative housing available, and whereas the structure at 38 East South Street is an attractive nuisance. Should that be unattractive nuisance? Okay.
No, attractive is
It's an
correct.
attractive nuisance?
Because it encourages people to go into it.
Oh. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna make a shirt on that for myself, and I'm an attractive nuisance. But okay, let's see here. An attractive nuisance imposes an imminent danger to the public, and whereas the owner of 38 East South Street has failed to comply with the order of the building code official to demolish the structure on or before April 1st, and whereas the building code official has requested and the mayor has issued a declaration of emergency demolition, and whereas A Plus Inc. provided the lowest responsible bid to demolish 38 East South Street for $77,000, and whereas an amendment to the budget has been introduced to use ARPA funding for that demolition, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor is authorized and the controller is authorized and directed to enter into an agreement for same with A Plus Inc.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? You can come up to the mic, Ms. Shriver.
I'm gonna try not to be emotional, but it's not working out so well.
Say, give us your name, okay?
Selena Shriver. On the 21st of March, myself, roommate, and his children, and my emotional support dog were all displaced from our only place that we called home. Midday, when Mr. Buffington, accompanied by Officer Foltz, and Mr. Sheldon Scott knocked on the door, having three high-standing officials outside the door, we knew it was anything but good. We were urged to leave our home immediately due to 38 East South Street and the condition that it's been. In the past 8 years, 3 years, it's been falling in on itself. Excuse me. All four of us and my emotional support dog gathered our necessities, and using the time allotted, we took one final glance behind us at our home. For all we knew, that could have been the last time we called it home. Cramming ourselves and belongings in the car, we proceeded to beg and plead with relatives trying to find a place to stay. I was given a sheet of emergency contacts by Mr. Sheldon and Mr. Scott. I've called every agency on here and no one could help because my friend is a homeowner. They wanted to split us up. They wanted me to send my dog to the SPCA, and I can't. I've had her for 10 years. She is as much my child and my emotional support animal as I am hers. Right now, we are staying at a hotel. We have until Monday. After that, we don't know where we will go, besides ending up in my vehicle. My roommate's daughter, who was here with me today, took off of college due to the pandemic. Ironically, since all this has transpired, she has gotten a job. Her very first job. And with her getting her first paycheck this coming Friday, we still don't have enough to cover the hotel stay for another week. I'm asking that 38 East South Street be taken down immediately, as soon as possible so we can go home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shriver. I do believe everything happens for a reason, and with the resolution that was passed previously, there might be some information that some of these individuals that attended today to speak about their organizations might be able to share with you in regards to resources. That's not necessarily council's role, but we do sympathize, we empathize in regards to your situation. And we will also try to see if there's any resources with connections in the community that we have. But I would strongly suggest to stick around and see if you can talk to a couple of the individuals that are present here. Is there any other question or comments from the public?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The City of York's Human Relations Commission has been involved in speaking with Ms. Shriver. I want to thank the administration and Mr. Buffington. And council, there's been an expediency. I know it doesn't seem like it when you're in that position, but that just shows you the urgency and how critical housing is. But everyone is working diligently, and I think there's been an expediency in trying to address this. And again, I know it doesn't seem like it because of the need and how critical it is. And we'll be around, we're here to try to assist you after this. So I just want to thank you all for getting that on the agenda and just really moving on this, because this is critical. And we worked with Mr. Buffington. And so I, again, want to thank everybody who's been trying to resolve this issue so that these individuals can go back to their housing if it's available. Thank you.
I don't know the program verbatim, but is there any possibility that some of the city's home funds could help with relocation on a temporary basis for her or her family?
I don't think so. I'm unaware of that. Home funds generally get passed through to other organizations, and I'm sure you've already contacted most of the organizations, such as Bell Socialization and others that get the pass-through dollars. So the city itself doesn't have a program where we give out money.
The reason I ask is because if we, as a CHODO, a community housing development organization, and if we're doing housing that causes a resident to have to be relocated, then the home funds would cover that cost. And I'm just wondering, in this case, because of the one home being demolished, could there be some exception for relocation?
I don't really have an answer other than that exceptions and HUD really don't go together very well. So that money is pretty.
Yeah, I just don't know.
And in this particular case, this isn't a property that we own. This is a property that we're having to go in and emergency demolish it because the
Right.
landowner has not taken care of the property.
Right.
So it's not a case where we are displacing
Right, but
anyone.
if
We're trying to
the
keep
issue-
one building from falling on top of, and I
Right.
sympathize with your situation, but it's not quite the same.
I get that, but because of, she probably qualifies as far as income-wise, and there might be some possibility, that's all I'm just saying, there might be a possibility for relocation assistance. And I bring that up because it's so hard right now for anyone to get housing in this community. It's, anywhere in America, there's just not enough housing, and it's an unfortunate situation. If you're lucky enough to have a car, to stay in, but most people don't. And we have to do better as a community. We have to address this housing issue. So, just want to say that.
Thank you, Ms. Santiago. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes?
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. There are no requests for future meetings. Is there any council comment?
Yes. And it sort of ties in with critical need in our community. Just want to hope we can maybe help some people here, definitely help people who might be listening, about a couple of assistance programs that are available. One, for people with overdue and can be long overdue sewer and water bills. There is a new state program to assist with this. You can apply, and I believe it's on North Duke Street at the county assistance office. And that phone number is 717-771-1100. Or you can apply online through www.compass, that's compass.state.pa.us. There is also a program in place for property tax and rental rebate assistance. And anyone who thinks that they qualify for this or wonders can stop by Representative Carol Hill Evans, the 95th District office. They're incredibly helpful. They will help you walk through this. Their staff is knowledgeable and helpful and willing to help. And her office is on North Street, but I am sorry I didn't get the number for that.
It's at the railroad station.
It's at
It's
the
at the
old
railroad station on the first block
Yes.
of,
848-9595.
Oh, it is 9595. I can't remember if it's 854, 848, or 846. But right, the last four digits are 9595. So just wanted people to be aware of those programs that are out there to help people in need.
Thank you. Any other council comment?
No.
Administration comment?
yes, thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to follow up on Councilwoman Buckingham's comment that there are water shutoff notices that are about to go out, and we have been working for over 3 years to get folks caught up with their bills, to give amnesty programs. We have offered 50%. If you can just pay 50% of it up front, we will forgive the other 50%, or we can do long-term payment plans. We've worked for 3 years now to help folks get caught up, but now it is time that the shutoff notices are coming. And as you were warned 3 years ago. So I would ask that people, if you know you're behind and you haven't gotten a shutoff notice yet, go take advantage of this. Go see what you can do because it's coming down the line. That's all I can say. We've worked really hard to do everything we can, but honestly, it's not fair for some of us to pay our bills and then the taxpayers making up for those that don't pay their bills. So at the end, we're at the end of that. So I hope you do consider helping out with the state program, or getting help from the state program. Thank you.
May I just add the phone number, you're correct, is 717 for Representative Carol Hill Evans' office, 717-848-9595. 95th District, yeah. It's East North Street. It doesn't show a number for us, but it's the first block of East North Street, right by the stadium. Yep, right, by the bus station.
By the Uber, yeah.
All right. Well, that adjourns our meeting for tonight. Thank you all for attending. Have a good evening.